For everyone, not to bait and switch everyone, we did originally have this as a work-life balance session, but I think this session is going to be a little more valuable to everyone, a little more timely with where the market is. So we have Amit Singh, who is a branch manager at Neo Home Loans, joining us today. And I have to preface this because I'm really excited about this session, because when I asked Amit to jump on today, he said, our process isn't perfect, but I'm happy to come on and share what we currently do. And I think that that's really important for everyone else to understand, is your process isn't going to improve unless you start, and it is imperfect. So you're not going to perfect this process and then get started. So it's important to just take those baby steps and get started in one way or another. And we're going to talk a little bit about how exactly that is, how you do get started, chunking it down into different pieces. But I just want, that is like really the main takeaway, is if you don't get anything else from today, just make sure that you're getting started on some sort of the process, and you can perfect that over time. So Amit, thank you so much for jumping on with us today.
No
Appreciate
worries.
it.
Happy to help. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
So we are going, we'll go through the questions, and then for everyone on here, same as we usually do, if you have any questions, we're going to open it up at the end to some Q&A, but we'll just run through a few questions with Amit right now. So hopefully we'll answer some of those questions before we get to the end. So Amit, right now in the loan process, at what point do you start talking about the value that the system creates? So not necessarily giving them access to the tools, but when do you kind of put that bug in their head, like, we do things differently and we are going to offer you this system to help you become more successful?
Is that for a client or for like an agent partner?
For a client, yes.
For a client. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts on that initial phone call, right? On every single phone call that we have, we go over our value proposition, right? Just because we want to kind of explain who we are up front, and really set the stage for what we're going to be ultimately doing, which is the consultation, the contract meeting, and ultimately the long-term planning as well. And so it starts, right out the gates with our kind of before, during, and long-term value proposition, where we go over, hey, these are all the things that we're going to do for you up front with the consultation, help you get to an understanding of what your financing options are going to look like. Then we're going to do the contract meeting. We're going to make sure that the process, from start to finish, of open to close of escrow, is going to be as seamless as possible for you. And that's when and then after that is when we go into what we do for our clients long-term. And, that's going to be a variety of things. We don't really say the words Art of Homeownership or Neo Experience quite yet. Basically, we just go over what our long-term commitments to all of our clients are going to be, right? That we're not just going to help you for the 30 days leading up to a transaction, but more importantly, for the 30 years post-transaction. And that's where we're going to really show our long-term value to you. And so that kind of sets the stage for the consultation. And that's really where we dial in the various aspects of the Art of Homeownership, right? So once we get onto that consultation, we'll go over our financing figures, and then we'll go over kind of the more in-depth aspect of what Art of Homeownership is, right? We're going to go over Home Binder. We're going to go over Home Bot. We're going to go over, all the various tools that we have. And that's really where we kind of see the shift of the mindset of the consumer from, oh, these guys are just a lender, these guys have a little bit higher of an interest rate, or maybe they're not as good as a broker that we're working with in terms of where the interest rate is at. But now we're showing actual tangible value that the client's like, oh, wow, well, the other broker, the other lender didn't show me any of this. They're going to be helping me for all the 30 years yet to come. This is amazing. Oh, wow. I have a digest that I'm going to get every single month. I have a concierge that I'm going to be able to own my home at the absolute highest level every single month. You guys are going to be managing my mortgage, ensuring that my mortgage is always in the best position possible. And if there's a better opportunity out there, you're going to proactively make me aware of it. This is amazing, right? So obviously all the various aspects, and then the contract meeting, we kind of reiterate a lot of that again, especially right now, especially the perfect mortgage promise right now, just given that interest rates have jumped up so drastically. And so we're going to go over all of the potential, refinance opportunities that they're likely going to have, hopefully in the next year or so, just so that way they feel really confident in their decision once again. And then again, during our post-closing call.
Okay, so in the first call, you're introducing the value proposition and just letting them know we're going to be, more of a partner and an advisor for life. but you're not really using the terms Art of Homeownership or Neo Experience to tell them the tools and the nitty gritty of it.
No,
So in
not
that contract call, how are you actually executing the contract call? Are you doing that over Zoom and then showing them the different tools?
the contract call or the consultation, like the initial consultation?
I'm sorry, the consultation. Yeah.
Yeah. So the initial consultation, we do them all over Zoom. Very rarely do clients want to come into the office anymore, but if they do, we'll make ourselves available in there. I prefer to do it on Zoom because we've gotten such a cool little Zoom setup now. But
Right.
ultimately, yeah, during the consultation, we're sharing our screen, or, I have it reflected. I'm not really going to like the website or anything like that. I have it built into my presentation, where we actually go through the various, aspects of the art of homeownership. And so we kind of touch base on each one of them and what it means and how it's going to be impacting their lives for the future.
Okay, cool. And then, so you did talk about when a client gets access to the tools, that's going to be during the consultation.
Yep.
The one question that I had was, and I think we get this a lot. So let's say a client comes to you and it's the first conversation that you're having with them, and they're just looking to get pre-approved because they found a house that they like already and they really want to rush through that process.
Yep.
How do you approach that differently with introducing the value and going through the whole process?
Yeah. I mean, from like a value perspective, I really wouldn't, differentiate it from, our normal process. Obviously, from a timing perspective, we kind of have to jump on things a lot more quickly. So we may not be able to do the consultation right away, or the consultation may end up being the contract meeting if they end up getting the offer accepted right away. But in scenarios like that, I mean, if they're coming to us at the last second, it's most likely a real estate agent who's referring them over to us that decided not to do it at the get-go, or maybe the client didn't want to do it right away until they actually found a property. So we'll have a conversation about who we are over the phone. I'll kind of go once again into that our value proposition, our before, during, and after. I'll explain that, hey, we won't get a chance to do probably the before, but if this offer does get accepted, but if it doesn't, I'd love to sit down with you guys and walk you through our full consultation. If not, then I'll kind of do a pseudo consultation / contract meeting where we'll go over all the financing figures together, but we'll also show them, kind of what we're going to do for them long term, so that way they at least feel a lot more confident in their decision to work with the real estate referral that they got. And so we'll go over that a little bit more cursory, just from a timing perspective, but absolutely still touch on all the things that we do long term.
And when else during the loan process are you really referring back to, I mean, if at all, referring back to the app and the actual tools? I mean, are you encouraging them to use the relocation services during the process, or like when is that actually, the engagement actually encouraged?
Yep. So we bring up Updater during the contract meetings, because that's when once the offer officially gets accepted and we've locked the loan, I believe that's when it gets triggered, that for our marketing gal to get the client set up on Updater and whatnot. So we'll have that conversation during the contract meeting, because that's really when it's the most impactful, because if they don't do it until they actually close, and they're kind of behind the 8 ball on things, and it's going to take a little bit longer for them to actually get that all set up, depending on what the timeline is for them to actually move into the home. So ideally, you always want to have that conversation with the client during the contract meeting, so that way they know that they're going to be getting emails from Updater. They don't just mark those as spam, or mark those or just archive them or anything like that. And that it's an actual tool that's going to help them make that transition as seamless as possible, get all of their services and whatnot transferred over to the new home. So it's a really cool benefit, I feel like, for a lot of the clients, and a lot of the clients that take advantage of it, love it. So yeah, and then you can also schedule moving services in there as well, which is an added benefit.
Yeah. And from your experience introducing the tools and the whole value proposition, what would you say clients get the most excited about, whether it's a certain tool that you tend to focus more on because you see a lot of good feedback from it?
Yeah, I think probably the most positive response, I mean, Updater is cool, Homebinder is cool, HomeBot is cool. They don't really get to feel how cool it is until they actually see it in action and start getting the emails. And that's when they, are really excited about it. But I feel like the perfect mortgage promise and the annual financial reviews are really what, allows them to feel like, wow, these guys actually give a shit about me. And so, when we're talking about long-term wealth planning, right, when we're talking about getting their monthly payments more into a range, especially right now, into a range of where they might be comfortable, given that interest rates are much higher right now. But talking about the proactivity in that aspect, they love that, right? Because so many people don't follow the markets. They don't follow, what interest rates are doing. And so if they know that the lending team that they're working with is proactively helping them to get to, in front of their loan and make sure that they're going to be in the best position possible, they love that, right? And so they're always excited about that. They love the fact that we do annual financial reviews, especially if they're younger, because they're like, okay, well, we don't really have anyone doing that for us. We probably don't make enough money right now for us to, warrant having a financial advisor at the moment, but that's amazing that you guys do that for us. So that way you can help us, stay on track, especially after we're buying one of the largest assets that we're planning on buying in our lives.
Right. Yeah, it's a big deal. And from the more logistics perspective, I think something that is we have to overcome the obstacle is getting these emails from different places. So whether it's Updater and opting into the relocation services, how do you set that expectation with these are the emails that you're going to get from these email, I mean, obviously like the emails. How do you set that expectation so that they're not marking them as spam or not paying attention to them? Do you do that in like written form, or do you just tell them over the consultation or the contract calls?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, yeah, it's more just over the consultation and the contract calls, right? Like I'm,
Okay.
during the contract call, I'm talking to them about Updater to make sure that they don't mark those, or delete those, and tell them that they're actually important and to look out for them. And then we talk to them about it again during the post-closing call with regards to like HomeBot and whatnot. And so, I mean, I think obviously there's always going to be clients that just, like for myself in particular, right? Like when I see my home bot, if I'm not planning on selling or doing anything right now, I probably just mark it as unread or as a archive, just because I know where the rough valuation of my home is, but it doesn't really mean anything because I'm not planning on doing anything with it right now to begin with, or I've already done what I've, planned on doing. And so, it's really nothing that we're like, okay, we're hammering, like you gotta, get, and that's why I said, right, our process isn't perfect right now. But we definitely do seem to get a tremendous amount of engagement from our HomeBot emails. We have like an 85% open rate, which is just unreal. And then as far as Updater, we do have a pretty significant amount of our clients who take advantage of the Updater platform to make use of it. So it seems to be working because we're at least talking about it and the clients are aware of it. But apart from that, we're not putting anything, I think, in writing or anything like that. But that definitely is something that we could introduce.
Okay. So switching over to more of the referral partners and introducing this to different referral sources. So who else are you pitching on the app from a referral standpoint, whether it's realtors, financial advisors, and really like what aspects are you focusing on? Which values are you communicating to them to really, I don't want to use the word sell, but to just show them your value proposition?
Yeah. So we have a presentation that, we kind of capitalize on with that Soci had created. So that's kind of the presentation that we go over with all of our agent partners. And it kind of shows one, who we are, what we do long-term for the consumer, what we do to help the consumer shift their psychological mindset, obviously like the bulletproof buyer presentation and whatnot. But that presentation is more geared to like who we are and exactly what we do for our agent partners as well. As far as pitching the actual Neo Experience app, I've done that once so far. It went really well. But I think the one aspect of the Neo Experience app that I think agents can sometimes be a little bit like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like really a benefit to me overall, because we all know that sometimes agents can be a little bit more tailored to what is, how does this actually impact me, not how does this impact my clients? And, it's not co-branded with the agent partner or anything like that. And so it's all kind of our information on there. So that's sometimes what they get hung up on a little bit. But when we kind of explained it to them, like, hey, your client's going to have, the best experience possible in getting themselves ready to buy a home, especially if they're not able to buy one right now. And it's going to allow us to stay ahead of them, so that way you can ultimately stay ahead of them, because once they are ready, we'll get them right back to you and in a position to buy. And so that usually quells that concern there. But yeah, we have a presentation. I think I have like a video of what I just did last week or 2 weeks ago, presenting on that to like a big team down in San Diego, Brand Realty. And I got a ton of positive feedback from there. So that was really good to hear. So I can definitely share that with everyone here.
Cool. And are you also pitching to financial advisors, CPAs, attorneys, and do you use the same approach that you do realtor partners?
Kind of. Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more tailored to, hey, how can we help you? Because, real estate agents were most of the time looking to get business from them, right? Whereas financial advisors, we are looking to get business from them as well, but we also kind of position it in a way where, hey, we're going to be awesome business partners to you because we're going to be referring you a ton of business, right? We have tons of clients right now who are constantly asking us for financial planners, advisors, referrals. And so we have a ton of clients that we can get out to people. And so that's it helps us because, one, it gives us a lot more validation to the financial advisor. And we're not looking for a crazy amount of referrals from those types of clients, but ultimately we want to make sure that the financial advisor that we're going to be working with has a similar business mindset to us, right? And so for financial advisor meetings, CPAs, trust attorneys and whatnot, divorce attorneys and whatnot, we're really looking for like-mindedness, and we're kind of pitching what we do to see how they react to that, because most financial advisors, when they see kind of what we do and how we operate for our clients from kind of a fiduciary perspective, they love that, right? They're not really getting pitched from a lot of other mortgage lenders that are doing things like we're doing, and so it sets us apart pretty tremendously. And so I haven't really had a financial advisor meeting go bad, because for the most part they're like, wow, I mean, I've never heard of a lender doing any of this. You're kind of doing half my job here. And so it's those have always been good. And typically what we found is any of those referrals that we get from financial advisors, those are really the best referrals that we get, right? Clients don't shop, they have money, they have good credit, they've been working towards a plan, and they're working with a financial advisor who's working with us. And so it's kind of like the highest level of referral you can really get. Whoever's managing my money, if I trust them to manage all of my money, I'm probably going to trust them for who they think I should work with with regards to handling my debt side.
Right. And we actually had, so Danny came on and was talking about and now this was a few months ago, but was talking about pitching to financial advisors specifically. And there was a lot of questions around the number of financial advisors to partner with. And his recommendation was really, you want the high income or high value clients. You want a financial advisor for that group. You want your middle of the road and like kind of the people that are just getting started, but you can really partner with as many as you want, and then just have that relationship where you're just helping those clients build their wealth. So then it ultimately helps the financial advisor. So is that the approach that you take with these partnerships as well? And do you set that expectation in the beginning?
Yes. I mean, I don't think it makes sense to have a tremendous amount of financial advisor partners, unless you're looking to spread them out all over the country, depending on how many states you're licensed in. But I definitely, always going to recommend having someone for high net worth clients. Now, the caveat there is most high net worth clients have someone that they're already working with. And so really what you would ideally want to do in those situations is, if you have a high net worth client that you're working with that loves their financial advisor, you want to connect with that financial advisor and see if you can get them as a resource. Right now, you may not have a tremendous amount of clients that you can refer to them, because again, the majority of people that have the assets that those types of financial advisors would need are already working with someone. But it's always good to have one of those. I would never really bank too much on getting too much in terms of referral business from them. But as long as you develop a good relationship with them, you can always get potential referral business, but I wouldn't bank on too much having a business that you can throw back on them. Now, the more middle of the road financial advisors, that's where you'd probably want to have 2 or 3 in your vicinity, because that's probably where you're going to be doing the majority of your business. But and then kind of spread your referrals out amongst those, right? If you have too many that you're spreading referrals over, then, you're probably not going to have nearly as many opportunities to get back, because, if you're not sending a good amount of referrals to financial advisors, you're probably not getting back, a ton either. But I mean, you can always connect with them as long as you kind of set the stage. If you're probably not going to be referring too much business to them, at least getting an opportunity to connect with them and having them use us as a resource if they ever needed anything, and just showing our value, that could absolutely be something that you guys, that everybody wants to look at, right? Is having more people on your roster, but, making sure that the amount of people that you're actually referring the business to is relatively small, so that way you're actually building quality relationships with the appropriate people.
Right. Absolutely. So I want to shift back a little bit to, because I don't think we spent a ton of time on the post-close process and making sure that your past clients are engaging with Art of Homeownership. So when you have that post-close call, can you go back to that and kind of what is covered in terms of Art of Homeownership? Like,
Yeah.
are you introducing the tools to them again? Because I know some people really spend a lot of time on it in the post-close call.
Yeah, so that's something that we absolutely are going over everything again right now. Updater, we probably don't go over as much because it's kind of late at that point, but we're going to go over Home Binder, helping make sure that they get everything set up appropriately in there, get the concierge, get familiar with that, and have them upload all Home Binder is the one, they send out like the inspector and whatnot, right? So they get all the inspections all squared away. So that way they just know that they have a resource there if they ever needed work done on their home, if they ever just needed to get some competitive quotes from different vendors for some work. They have that as a resource that they can utilize, and then they're also going to be helping them maintain their home to make sure that everything is changed out. I always use the line because it's true. When I first bought my home, I had no idea that you had to change the air filters in the property, right? So for the first 3 years of me owning my home, I hadn't changed my air conditioning filter, and when my girlfriend moved in with me, it was like it was a point of contention with me. I was like, I don't know how to change that. And she's like, what the fuck? You've, haven't changed your air filter for 3 years. You're going to die in here. And so, now we change it every, 3-4 months or something like that. But that, I hadn't signed that. Back then we were using House Happy, and I wasn't really using it at a high level back then. But had I been, incorporating it into my own home, I would have known that, okay, I got to change my air filter here, and I, could breathe clean air every single day. So it just kind of keeps things on tracks for home maintenance. So that way you just own your home at the highest level. We go over HomeBot more extensively because we explain to them, like, this is a resource that you can use to also kind of reconnect with us whenever you need to as well, right? If you ever have questions, you're going to get a tremendous amount of information on every one of those emails as to, where the equity position of your home is at, where, you guys all know what HomeBot does. And so it just gives the opportunity for them to connect with us. And so we want to make sure that they're absolutely aware of that, because they have not gotten the HomeBot emails quite yet. And then obviously the annual financial reviews, and then also the 3-month, 6-month, 9-month call shortly after as well. We want to make sure that we set the stage for that, so that way they're going to be ready and available for those calls, set the stage for the annual financial review, so that way they know what they're going to need to bring to the table to that conversation. And then, we go over a bit with the Revive as well, just so that way down the line, if they ever, decide that they do want to sell, they do have opportunities to do pre-home sale renovations as well. But yeah, we absolutely go over the majority of those aspects on that post-closing call, and then the perfect mortgage promise always as well.
Mm-hmm. And now I think that this is a really high value thing to go over, because ultimately one of the benefits of Art of Homeownership is being able to add anyone to the platform. So when you really ask for that referral or any referral opportunities, how do you position that? And at what point are you asking for referrals?
Asking for referrals from the client?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, throughout the process, right? Like at the end of the consultation, right? If, one of the things that I always say is, hey, it sounds like I get a gauge on how the consultation went. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb real quick. Sorry about that.
Okay.
During that consultation, we'll ask, how do we or just how was your experience, right? Did you find this valuable and whatnot? Cool. If they found it valuable, which the majority of them always say they do, or at least they lie to me and say they do. But ultimately we asked them like, hey, do you have any friends, family, colleagues that you know that might be able to benefit from going through something like this, right? And we kind of preface that by saying, we're not here to just push people to buy a home. We want to make sure that every consumer in America gets access to the information that they need to make a well-informed decision about financing real estate. And so regardless of whether you think they're ready to buy now, a year from now, 5 years from now, we'd love to get in touch with them and just kind of get them an understanding of what that looks like and help them plan and strategize. So who do you know in your life right now that might be able to, might want to work with us? And then I just let them kind of respond. I don't really give them a yes or no response type question. They can say, yeah, I don't really know anyone right now, which is fine, but it forces them to really think and not just immediately say, no, I don't know anyone right now.
Yeah.
So I do that during the initial consultation. I don't do it during the contract meeting. But then we do it again during the post-closing call. And then the 3 month and 6 month call as well.
Okay. And then with that referral, you're starting out as basically doing the initial consultation with them and just running through like what their current needs are, introducing the value of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for example, we had a client at the end of last month who they couldn't really qualify for the price range that they wanted. They weren't really comfortable with the monthly payments up there. So they are going to continue renting for a little bit because they're expecting more income in the next 6 months. And that's realistically when they're thinking that they're going to buy. So they kind of put themselves on hold for a little bit, but they enjoyed our consultation so much that I didn't even, I kind of felt bad that they weren't able to qualify right now because they seemed a little bit bummed, but they were super stoked about just kind of the process and what we do for our clients and working with us longer term. She was so stoked that she just went ahead, and one of her best friends at work, they're in a position where they ultimately do want to buy and they are in the process of selling their home. They were like, wow, we just worked with the Amit and his team over here. We love them. I would love for you guys to connect with them. And out of the blue, she had shared my scheduling link with her friend, and her friend had scheduled a call. I had no idea who it was. The call popped up on my calendar. My team reached out to the client, said it was referred by our other past client, Wendy, who we just worked with literally like 2 days prior. And now we got them into escrow as of today. And so it was really exciting to see that. But every single one of those clients that you're meeting with is an opportunity to build more referral business, as long as you just wow them. Even if they aren't a client that may buy right now, they could be they could be the stepping stone to the next client who is going to buy right now. And so showing them our value and really setting ourselves apart from every other lender out there by explaining everything that we do through Art of Homeownership is really how we're going to be able to build the best referral opportunities.
Right. And that is so powerful. And I think that is a main takeaway from this session is number one, just talking about your value, because half the time that's what sells your clients is you just telling them what you're going to do for them and being able to actually show them these tools and your value proposition beforehand. And then ultimately doing what we preach all the time, which is offering this to as many people as possible. So just like Amit is saying, that got him a deal from someone that wasn't even going to close. So just being able to have that value and being able to provide it to literally everyone, it's really powerful. And it makes it so that you're not just selling yourself and your service, you're really just helping people in a major way.
Absolutely.
So we're going to open it up to questions right now. So Amit, this was all great. And what we'll do is really map out this kind of journey and the process that Amit and his team have in place. I think we've done this with a few other partners because everyone has their own little twist on it, but you will get all of these resources afterwards. Someone did ask, has Amit ever recorded his initial consultation and contract meeting presentations? If so, is he willing to share?
Yeah, I'd probably just have to find those Zoom recorded links. It's been a while, but I can probably record. I have one at 4:30 today, so I can probably record that.
There you go. Okay. Everyone. Yeah, feel free to just send it over to me and I can get it out to everyone.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Always willing to share. And if anybody has any specific questions, you can always reach out to me directly as well.
Appreciate it. Does anyone else have questions? Because I know that this is what we get a lot of questions around, which is when to introduce the different tools, how to talk about it during the process. So does anyone have any questions that we did not address on this call that you would like to ask Amit while he's here? Feel free to raise your hand, type in the Q&A. All right, Amit, to close this out, we'll wait while people ask questions. If you had to give advice to anyone that feels like they're not really implementing Art of Homeownership at a high level, what would be your starting point? What would you recommend doing right now?
Well, I mean, if you're not implementing Art of Homeownership at the highest level right now, it's probably because you don't feel comfortable with it. Maybe you don't understand it as well as you would like, or maybe you don't know how to articulate it about it as well as you would like. And so, I mean, for me, right, it's the more I know about something, the more I learn about something, the easier it is for me to explain it to people, right? And so, whether that's me asking, when I first got into this industry, like the only thing that I did every single day was ask Ryan Grant a shitload of questions. I probably was annoying him at that same point. And then, this was back in like 2013. And so I would just ask a ton of questions, right? One of the big reasons why Sosi became who Sosi is because when he first started back when we were at Fairway, he was in my office every single day asking me a shitload of questions. He was in Ryan's office every single day asking a shitload of questions. And so the more you don't know about something, the more you don't feel like you've grasped something at the absolute highest level, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is by continuing to learn. And I think one of the big things that I've realized as I've, employed various people, as I've seen people come and go through this industry, is the people that ask a ton of questions and genuinely are curious to learn and be able to, actually learn everything at a highest level so that way they can implement it. Those are the people that are going to be the strongest, right? And so we're at a company here where nobody is going to shy away from a question, right? I feel like everybody here has the culture and the mindset that, hey, we're all in this together. We're going to be working collectively to improve each other's lives. And so that's why, anytime anyone's ever asked me, Val asked me to do this literally, like 7:00 last night. I was like, sure, why not? It's already on my calendar, but ask questions, connect with people that that are doing the things that you ultimately want to be doing. And that's how you're going to up level yourself. Right now, looking at the Ryan Grants, the Josh Meadows of the world, right? They are well ahead of all of us, right? And if you're constantly trying to aspire to be like them, that's great. And absolutely, if that's the next evolution of who you are, awesome. But if you're in a role where, my role might be the next evolution, right? I would reach out to those people because that's the next logical step. And then eventually you can continue to progress forward that way. But absolutely ask as many questions as you possibly can and connect with all the people in the industry that are doing what you want to be doing. And that's the only way that you're really going to up level yourself.
I love it. Great advice. I think we do have a question here. James, I will bring you in to talk.
What's up, James?
What's up? I was late to this call. In fact, I just joined, I don't know, a few minutes ago.
Do you want us to go through the whole presentation again?
No, I'll just watch the recording. But
okay, good.
I will say that I'm pretty new to NEO. We joined this spring. I have used Art of Homeownership before I joined NEO, and I stopped, and then now I joined NEO, and now I'm sort of back in with the new NEO experience. My challenge is client adoption. Like my challenge, I mean, you can roll it out to everybody. I have like 800 past clients I could send them a link to, and they'll just be like, what's this, right? Even when I'm talking to someone directly and I'm like, you know what, you would really benefit from some credit advice. I'm going to send you a link. I plug them into my portal, and then they get invited, and then nothing happens. Like, I think I'm challenged by, like, HomeBot is awesome because it's automatic. Like, they're automatically in it. It just happens to them. They interact with it. It's easy and it's valuable. And then there's the annual review. That's valuable. That's something we can control. But what I can't control is someone signing up for FinLocker, putting in that stuff that says, yeah, like you can see my social security number. You can see my bank accounts. Like that's, it's not, I'm not getting that pull through. And then sign up for Homebinder. Like I'm not, I have 0 people in Homebinder, 0. Like no one has signed up for it. So that's my challenge, is like, how do I get people to sign up? I don't even know how to explain it to them. So that's where I kind of get into a fog.
Yeah, so I mean, I would definitely rewatch the recording. We definitely went over all of that, but I think for most people, right, to actually get off their ass and make a decision to do something, right, it requires us as the advisor to influence their decision, right? And the way that we do that is not by just telling them, hey, this is all the cool shiny stuff that we have, make sure you sign up for it, right? We need to actually show them how it's going to impact their lives in the future, and have that kind of mental shift from like, oh, you're just trying to sell me something, to, oh, wow, you're actually helping me attempt to grow my wealth over the long term. And whether that's through Homebinder to help them, enjoy and manage and maintain their home at the highest level, or that's FinLocker to make sure that they're, going over their, their budget, and they're managing their credit, and, going through all of the various aspects of the Neo Experience app to ensure that they're ultimately becoming successful homeowners long term, right? If we can show them what the future outlook of why they need to utilize all of this, that really helps them understand that, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense, James. I'm definitely going to sign up for this once I get the emails that you send over, because you've shown me enough value in terms of what the future is going to hold by utilizing this, that I'm actually going to want to take the next logical step and actually sign up for everything. So it's going to take a few times that you got to go over that with them. And, we go over it with them at that and first phone call, not as in depth, but then we go in a lot more in depth and during that consultation. Again, we touch on a lot of those things during the contract meeting. And then again, we touch on everything on the post-closing call. And so it's a lot, but ultimately it shows us more valuable than every other lender out there. And then it's going to give us a better opportunity for that client to actually get into the system and sign up for everything.
James, are you also, during your process, and I'm kind of digging a little bit because I feel like there's other people that can relate to your question. Are you really visually showing them the app and what it looks like and the different features of it when you're talking about it?
No, I'm generally showing them the like portal website with the little like squares where it has the features. I'm like, that's generally where I'm pointing people when I'm talking about it.
Okay. Yeah, because I would say I think a lot of people are very visual. If you tell them something, it's okay, I understand that I'm going to have access to this, but maybe just making that shift. And if you watch the recording, Amit was also talking about when they do that visual walkthrough of the app, that might just get them more familiar with it and make them more comfortable to actually dive in themselves and know what value they're going to get from it.
Are you using like slides that show the new pictures of the mobile app and the credit monitoring and the
Amit, that's what you said you have, right?
Yep. So we're going over all of the various slides. That's really more for so far that we've been going over for agents and whatnot, but for clients themselves, I haven't been doing like Neo Experience app presentations or anything like that. I think that might be a little bit overkill in terms of time, but I think the biggest benefit that you can do is honestly creating a video, right? Creating some content around the Neo Experience app, having someone, or I'm sure Val could probably help you out with it as well, but creating a minute-long video that really goes into depth with you explaining it, so that way they see your face, the face that they trust. Going into more in depth, and the videographer can incorporate the screenshots or little screen recordings of the application and whatnot, so that way they really understand it. This way you can avoid having to do a presentation or speak too long with every single individual client about it, and you can shoot it off as a video after the initial consultation or something like that, so that way they have something tangible that they can watch and they can see, okay, this is why it's beneficial for me. And, I just had an awesome meeting with James. I don't want to disappoint him, so I'm going to sign up for everything.
I would love for my clients to not want to disappoint me.
Don't we all?
Amit, do you have Do you have it? This is another question. Do you have any real estate partners that are also paying members of Art of Homeownership that you are co-branding with?
A couple, yes.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah. So it's obviously a big ask, especially during a time like this. But we have quite a few actually of our agent partners who are signed up on Art of Homeownership and are set up in there. And I think they found tremendous amount of value from it. But that's also because we've taught them how to use it at the highest level and continue to.
I think that's a great conversation to have with your best partners.
Yeah. But yeah, anytime you're trying to get a real estate agent to part with their own money is always tough.
Val, what's the cost for them? Is there a sign up cost and then a monthly?
That's a great question, James. Could you email support@artofhomeownership.com with that question? I just market the product. I'm not.
You don't
I'm not
know.
in the know on all of this.
Side.
I know it's. I mean, I remember. I haven't heard that number in a long time, but I remember being like pretty flabbergasted at like how inexpensive it was. It's like $200 a month or something for a realtor, or maybe $299 or I don't know.
I think it was like $300 or $399.
Yeah. Well, we all know that realtors are some of the hardest people to get to part with cash.
Right.
Lenders are easy. The lenders pay for everything.
And hopefully not for too much longer.
All right. I don't see any more questions here, so I think we can go ahead and close it out for today. But as always, you can email support@artofhomeownership.com with any questions like that around the realtor pricing, etc. We will send out the recap recording, all of the materials that we talked about on Friday. So keep an eye out for that if you missed any of this. But Amit, thank you so much for jumping on. This was really valuable for everyone. It was awesome. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Happy to help. Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.